Hello students, today's lecture is data types, variables, constants and expressions. So we will discuss these one by one. What is a data type? Basic data type in C language are character, integer, float and double. So these are the basic data type in C. These are declared using C char, int, float and double respectively. So we can declare a character as char, an integer as int, float as float and double as double. The size and range of these data types may vary among processor types and compilers. So what type of processor we are using, what type of compiler we are using, so it depends on the size of these data types. The size of an int is usually the same as the word length of execution environment of the program. For most 16-bit environment such as DOS or Windows 3.2, an int is 16-bit, but for 32-bit environment such as Windows 95, 98 and so on, it is 32-bit. So for DOS and Windows 16-bit, it takes 2 bytes, that is 16-bit, and for others it takes 4 bytes, that is 32 bits, and for character it is 1 byte. So the int basic type can be modified by signed, short, long and unsigned. So we can modify the int as signed, short, long and unsigned. The character type can be modified as unsigned and signed. So mm, yeah, we have some data types, their size, format specifier, which I have discussed in my previous lecture, and range. So character 8 bits means 1 byte. %c is the format specifier. Unsigned character the same. Signed character same. Integer 16 or 32 bit depending on the processor. 16 bit or 32 bit processor. So 16 bits means 2 bytes or 32 or 4 bytes and %d and so on. We have different data types and their size in bits and their format specifier and the range. This is what I have about data types. Now variables. Variables, what is a variable? A variable whose value can be changed is called, for example, a is a variable. We can assign a value to a is a value 5 to a, but we can change that value to 6. So anything which changes its value is known as a variable. So a variable is a name location in memory that is used to hold a value that can be modified by a program. So it is a location in a memory. It is a name of a location in a memory whose value can be modified by the program. So all variables must be declared before they can be used. Any variable we have to use in a program, it must be declared first. So every variable has a name and a value. The name identifies the variable, the value identifies the data. So the name of the variable, what is the variable, and the value identifies the what and the what data it can store. So there is a limit on what these names can be. We can use any of C keywords like we cannot use any of the C keyword like main, while, switch, etc. as variable name. So as I have we have discussed in my previous lecture, keywords and identifiers. So we can name can be anything. A variable name can be anything but other than the C keywords. For example, main, while, switch, and so many int, float, so many keywords we have in C. So we cannot use those keywords as the name of the variable. So general form of the variable declaration is data type and list of variables. For example, int a, b, c, and semicolon, or float a, b, c, and semicolon, or character a, b, c, and so on. So data type space list of the variable and semicolon. This is the general form of a variable declaration. So variables can be declared in 3 places. So we can declare a variable in 3 places in our program: inside a function, in the definition of the function parameter, in the definition, and outside all the functions. So these parameters correspond to local variable, formal parameter, and global variables. So if we have declared a variable inside a main, it is called a local variable, yeah, inside a function. So inside the definition of the function where we have defined a function, we can define a variable there also. Those, so that is called a formal parameter. And global variable means we can declare a variable globally, that is called a global variable. So we will discuss these variables in next slide. So what is a local variable? Variables that are declared inside the body of a function are called local variable. The variable which is declared inside a function is called a local variable. These variables are also referred referred or also referred to as automatic variable. We can also say these variables are automatic variables. The scope of the local variable is inside the block in which it is defined. So the scope of the variable is we can use the variable inside that block in which we have defined the variable. So local variable can be used only by statements that are inside the block in which the variables are declared. So a block of code begins with an open curly braces and terminates with a closing curly braces. So what is a block of a code? A block of code is inside two curly braces, the open curly braces and close curly braces. That is a block of code. So a variable defined in that block is its life is in the whole block, up from the open curly braces and up to the close curly braces. So local variable exist only while the block of code is in which they are declared is executing. That is, a local variable is created upon entry into its block and destroyed upon its exit. So when we are our program is starts executing, and when it reaches that block, so or that local variable gets activated, and when control gets out of the block, the variable gets destroyed. So most common codes in which local variables are declared as function, we'll discuss here. Function 1, we have defined a local variable here, and this is local declared a local variable x. So we have initialized the value of x. Then in function 2 we have again initialized the value. So this is a local variable of this function, and this is a local variable of this function. So the integer variable x is declared twice, once a function f1 and once in function f2. So we have declared the function here in function f1 function 1 and in function 2. So x is in function 1 has no bearing or relationship in the x in the function 2. So I have declared x here in this function 1, so it does not affect this function. This variable x. This is different because it destroys when the control goes out of this block. As explained, this is because each x is known only to the code within the block in which it is declared. And global variables are known throughout the program and may be used by any piece of code. So global variables are known to whole of the program, and any piece of code can use that global variable. Also, they will hold the value throughout the program execution. So global variable will hold the value throughout the program. You can create global variable by declaring them outside of any function. So any expression can access them regardless of what block of code that expression is in. So any function can uh, any expression can access that global variable. So in the program in the next slide, the variable count has declared outside all functions. So although its declaration occurs before the main function, so you could have placed it anywhere before it first use, or as long as it is not in a function. However, it is usually best to declare global variable in the top of the program. So here include standard input attach int count. So I have declared a global variable here, int count, function 1, function 2. So I have initialized in the main function, I have initialized the count to 100. So in function 1, temp print count, so count will be 100, then declared count 200. Then the function 2, its value now become 200. So it will print 200 here. So what is a constant? A constant is that value which cannot change. For example, 5 is a constant. 5, the value of 5 is always 5. We cannot change the value of 5. So a constant is a value that never changes. For example, 8, 15, 256 and 10,000 are constants. So the three primitive types of constants supported in C are integer, real and character. So these are the three types of constants in C: integer, real and character. Their construction rules are as follows. Rules of constructing an integer constant. How we can construct an integer constant? Integer constant must have at least one digit. It must have a one digit. It can have a positive or negative sign. If no sign, it is positive. So it is a positive, or if no sign, then it is positive. Other than a positive or negative sign, it cannot have any special character. It cannot have a special character other than positive sign. So by default, its values ranges from this to this. So for example, 7 plus 17, these are the integer constants. Then real constant. Real constants are also known as floating point constant. These are also called floating point constants. The form used to write real constants are fractional form and exponential form. So we have fractional form and exponential form of real constant. So construction rules for fractional form is a real constant must have at least one digit. It must have one digit. It must have only one decimal point. So it should have one decimal point. It can have a positive or negative sign. If no sign proceeds, then it is positive. So it can have positive or negative. If no sign, then we can say it is positive. Other than a positive or negative sign, a decimal point, it cannot have a special character. So it cannot have um, uh, it have only three special characters: positive, negative, and decimal. And other than that, it don't have any other character. For example, 5.3 plus 8426678 minus 32.64 uh, 0.6934 and so on. These are fractional form. Exponential form. So a real constant is in the form of form has part. It has one mantissa and exponent. So character e and e separates these two. One is mantissa and other is exponent. So we construct the mantissa part of a real constant in exponent form by rules of construction real constant in fractional form, and we construct the exponential form part by rule for constructing integer constant. So the only restriction is that the allowable range of real constant expressed in exponential form is this. So this is the rule. Examples are 8.6 e5 44 plus 4.3 e minus 8 and so on. These are examples of exponential form. Rules for constructing character constant. So we have no character constant. A character constant is a single character form C character set enclosed with single inverted commas punctuation. So single characters enclosed with single inverted commas. These are called character constant. For example, a small a 9. We have enclosed these in single quotes. These are character constants. Expression. What is expression? Expression is a combination of operators, constant, variables, and function calls. So we have combination of operators, constants, variables, and function calls. They became expression. Can be arithmetic, logical, relational. This is arithmetic expression. X plus y. This is relational. A b plus c. A greater than b. A. These are the expressions. So this is student. This is what I have today in data types, variables, constants, and expression. Thank you.